how they function, how they talk in symbols, in symbol, all the time. And it seems incoherent or, okay, it's a child. Let's share that. I was in the kindergarten, SCT, source code, has a kindergarten. And suddenly there was a child that was singing to another child, "You are an Eskimo, you are an Eskimo, you are an Eskimo." Singing, it didn't seem nasty or, with aggressiveness. And the other young child, she was 3 years old, she was like that, sulking, and she didn't like that. And if you don't understand symbolic language, that children, they talk in symbols, you say, come on, why is she sulking? It's just saying an Eskimo. An Eskimo is cute. But in fact, just before, I was in the back and I had perceived that they had a little fight, nothing serious. And then it was okay, and then she was singing, "You are an Eskimo." So I explained to them. I explained to the one who was singing, "You are an Eskimo." An Eskimo. So I let you think a few seconds. Why the other child was being sulky and affected? Because she was treated as an Eskimo. It's not a monster. So you see, this is the way to think differently. Not only, okay, an Eskimo is an Eskimo. Yes, but what does it represent, an Eskimo? Where an Eskimo lives normally. Yes, you have guessed. In a cold country where most of the time there is snow and it's frozen. I'm sure you have guessed already. Frozen, remember, water element is related to what? Emotions. Frozen emotions. Always the plus, always the minus, remember. But here, since she was affected, and I could feel a subtlety. When she was singing, there was a little bit of mockery. Slight, subtle, but still there. So it was the negative aspects of the Eskimo. So she was, unconsciously telling her friend, no, we had a little fight, but in you, you are being sulky, you are not happy. You are like, in a cold country with frozen emotions, and you are not happy. Even if there was a facade and it seems to be settled, your heart is frozen. There is no more warmth in your heart. Don't be the minus of the Eskimo. Of course, the Eskimo, they have great qualities, but it was the negative aspects of the frozen emotions. And I said to her, because they are used to be explained symbolic language in a very simple way. I say, look, why she's not happy? Because you are telling her, explain with simple words, that she's cold in her heart. She had big eyes like that. And I said to the other, yes, so come on now, come on. And they were friends again because they understood, both of them. It's powerful. You are entering, into her memories, feeling a frozen emotion because she was at a distance, and she feels hurt because, you emphasize the coolness right now. So you see how it is so amazing. Amazing when we understand symbolic language. We record a code. And so they can recognize then when their emotion is frozen, are frozen. Just another example. A compliment and encouragement symbolically. Let's have another example. You see how we live. We live like that all the time. This is why we have hope. We know how to code the consciousness, and it's so important for the children. And it's interesting. And you don't do, when you accompany children, when you help them, you no longer do out of duty. You love it because it's so interesting when you have to think, oh, why did she say that? What does that mean? You have to think. They help you. They are also teachers for us. So let's have this example. This is a sharing of a woman that is also working very intensely on her emotional intelligence, because she knows she had been, she has a little bit of rigidity and things that she had to work. And she has neighbors, and these neighbors have children. So she has been in contact with these children for several years, and they see her many times. Of course, she is, they're her neighbors, their neighbors. So she said she was so happy to share that story to me. She said, imagine. So we invent a name for confidentiality. Jonas, who is 6 years old. At that time, it was 6 years old. Imagine, he saw me with my car and he said, oh, Nadia, you have changed your car. And she said, okay, she's used to listening in symbols. So she said, but why are you telling me that? Because she hadn't changed her car. Oh, he said, because before you had just 2 doors. Now you have doors in the back, meaning 4 doors. Oh, what does that mean? Why? Why did he say that? That was not true. That was not coherent. And he had been seeing her car for several years. And he's a very, very sensitive child with such a potential. And when we understand, they say weird things and say, oh, he has not observed well. And then, okay, he's a child, 6 years old, okay. And the child feels, okay, I was not understood. I had perceived something and I'm not understood. And that was so wow. And she was so touched, this woman, because she knew and she could feel and she could validate why he had said that to her. Why? Because she had been working, as I said, on herself, social distancing. And before COVID-19, she had difficulties, very sensitive and difficulties sometimes to gather with people. When we're sensitive and we feel difficult. And she knew she had to develop our emotions. And I can validate that. Something had changed in her. So why did he say that? Try to guess. A car. A car is a symbol of advancement. We advance socially towards objective, towards people. You see, we think more than beyond the concrete. Think, object, symbol. What's the purpose of a car? And then he was saying to her, now you have 4 doors. Of course, we can have a car that has just 2 doors and have a family, but normally you agree that it's more practical to have a 4 doors car when we are several. So he was telling her, congratulations, you have a new way of advancing. It's easier now to socialize. You have opened new doors. So for her, wow, it was a compliment. And she thanked him. Thank you. This is a compliment. You see, instead of wife, 4 cars. So you see how This is amazing when we live like that. It was this emotional intelligence that he had used. He had perceived that something had changed in her. Wow.